What's going on, everyone? LA Sports back with another video. In this video, I have tons to talk about regarding the New York Giants. I'm going to be recapping the preseason finale against the New England Patriots, as well talking about the B.J. Hill trade that went down yesterday, and be doing a 53-man roster prediction, as we're going to get all of the cuts, as the roster needs to be cut down to 53 today. I'm not sure when. Hopefully it doesn't happen as I'm making the video, but I got my predictions here, and we're going to get into that. So 3 main topics to talk about, but as always, before we get into the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Let's get right into the video. Alright guys, so we're going to start off with the recap of the final preseason game against the Patriots, as it was a very good game. Considering it was preseason, lots of action, and despite the Giants lost 22-20, I don't think that really matters. It's preseason; the score doesn't matter at all. But we got to see, in the first half at least, we got to see a lot of the starters. Not really any of the new additions, no Saquon Barkley, but we did see Daniel Jones, that offensive line, and that offensive line is scary. Andrew Thomas was terrible. He was by far the worst player on the field all night long. He gave up a sack and a half, a holding penalty. He was not good. Hopefully he's able to put that behind him. Like I said, it's preseason, so don't read too much into it. He started off poorly last season in his rookie year, and he really stepped it up after as the weeks went on. Hopefully it was just a tough one in this game, getting back to normal. He was injured in the offseason. I believe he had surgery, so hopefully that's nothing serious. For Andrew Thomas, hopefully he is able to show how good he's going to be in the upcoming season. As for Daniel Jones, he was very good. He was 17 for 22. He threw a touchdown and an interception, a beautiful touchdown pass to Caden Smith. The interception was it was scary. I mean, at the 1-yard line, he threw a red zone 3rd and goal interception. Bad throw across his body. Can't happen. He's got to know he got to either take the sack, throw the ball away. He cannot do things he's not able to do. He's not capable of doing. So Daniel Jones, he's got to be better. He cannot do that. But like I said, it's the first game. They're playing with tackling in a while, so there might be some jitters there. There might be some things they're not really used to, so hopefully that is not anything serious for Daniel Jones. As for Evan Ingram and the Darius Slayton injuries, I don't think it's anything too serious. I think it's more for precaution that they took them out of the game. I think they both will be ready for week 1. Joe Judge and the players, they seem confident about that. So I don't think that's anything to be too concerned about. As for the defense, they're good. I mean, the starting unit in the first half only gave up 6 points. Blake Martinez had a terrific interception. I think there's definitely some good things to take from that. And then from the second unit, the roster battles, I thought there were some good ones. I think there have been some very, very encouraging players that may not make this roster, whenever it comes out in the next few hours. So I think there's definitely a lot of depth on this New York Giant team on the defensive side of the football, as well as the wide receiver position. I thought that there were a lot of good, 7, 8, 9 wide receiver guys that won't end up making the roster, so I think it's definitely interesting. And also for the running back position, I like Gary Brightwell. They tried to really incorporate him into the passing game with the first unit. I thought that was interesting. And we didn't see a lot of Corey Clement. Maybe that means he isn't going to end up being the guy that makes the roster. I think he will at the end of the day. I think it's a little sneak peek into what I'm going to get into later on. But I think the Giants are going to go with 5 running backs, and he makes the team. But as for the rest of the team, there were some guys in the second unit defense who a lot of Giants fans were like, "Oh, this guy's terrible." But that guy, Madre Harper, those types of players, they're not making the roster. Sam Beal, I don't think that guy's making the roster. And should Sam Beal make the roster, which I don't think he will, he's not going to play. He's not going to see the field unless there's an injury that forces him to minimally see the field. I think there were definitely some encouraging signs on the D-line. I thought that guy Henry Jr. is pretty good. I think he's definitely a guy who could maybe make the practice squad, but I think he had a tackle for loss. He also had a sack, so that was encouraging from him. But overall, I think there were some good and some bad from this football game. As for the B.J. Hill trade, the New York Giants are sending B.J. Hill to the Cincinnati Bengals, the defensive lineman, in exchange for a offensive lineman, Billy Price. He is young. He was a first-round pick, 21st overall in 2018. So he's definitely a guy who, could bring a lot of upside to the offensive line. He was drafted as a guard. He ended up playing center in Cincinnati. He's a guy who's going to be, he could potentially start at the left guard position instead of Shane Lemieux. We don't know, but I definitely think he's a guy who's going to see the field at times on this New York Giants line. And I was actually, when I was doing my 53-man roster predictions, when I was writing them out, that trade ended up happening. So it kind of messed me up a bit. So I obviously think he's going to make the roster. They're not going to trade for a guy who's not going to make the roster. Another interesting thing that came out is Devontae Downs is expected to be traded today. I don't know what team would take that guy. I don't know what we're going to get back for him. We might get, a mediocre player that might not even make the roster. We might get a conditional 7th-round pick. Who knows? I think it's definitely interesting that a team is going to be willing to take Devontae Downs. But I'm excited to see what the New York Giants could get for that guy. But we'll see when that trade news comes out. But overall, in terms of the trade, I think it's a good trade. I think you get some offensive line depth, a guy who's young. He was a first-round pick. He's definitely a guy that the New York Giants can coach up on. So I like the trade. B.J. Hill was a guy who, was going to make the roster, but, he wasn't going to get a whole lot of playing time. So overall, I give the Giants a good grade on the trade. You don't have nothing to lose. It's a low risk, medium kind of reward in this trade. And hopefully Billy Price turns out to be a pretty good football player on this New York Giants offensive line, whether he is starting or, in the second offensive line unit. Guys, finally, my 53-man roster prediction. I'm going to go with 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 6 receivers, 3 tight ends, 9 offensive linemen, 3 special teams players, 5 defensive linemen, 10 edge/linebackers, and 10 defensive backs. So, guys, let's get right into it. So we're going to start off at the quarterback position. Of course, Daniel Jones and Mike Glennon. Mike Glennon showed some encouraging signs in the second half of the preseason game. He was pretty good all preseason. He's definitely an upgrade from Colt McCoy. He could throw the ball pretty well. He's got some zip on his throw. He converted a Hail Mary with Willis. The dying seconds of the second half in the preseason game. So I think it's definitely a decent backup. So quarterback, 2 of them, Daniel Jones starter, Mike Glennon, the backup. As for the running back, I think it's fairly obvious with the first 3. Saquon Barkley is the running back 1, Devontae Booker is the running back 2, and then I think they're going to go with 1 fullback, Elijah Penny. I put him in the running back category, so that's 3. And like I said, I'm picking 5 here. I think Gary Brightwell, the 6th-round draft pick of the New York Giants from Arizona, is going to make the team, and Corey Clement, I think, is going to make the team ultimately. I think they go with 5 running backs, and those are the 5. As for the wide receiver position, I think they go Kenny Golladay, wide receiver 1, Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton, Kadarius Toney, John Ross, and I think they go with David Sills over Dante Pettis, over C.J. Board. I think it might be a hot take that the Giants don't take C.J. Board, but I think that might be the route that they end up taking. As for the tight end spot, I think they take 3 of them, Evan Ingram, Kyle Rudolph, and Caden Smith. I think those are very obvious choices. Some people have the Giants, taking 4. I thought maybe there was a possibility with Rice and John based off the way he played in the second preseason game, but then he did get injured. So I don't think the Giants go 4 tight ends. I think they go 3. And then as for the offensive line, I think they go 9. I originally had them taking 8 until they made the Billy Price trade. So I think those will be the left tackle Andrew Thomas, the left guard Shane Lemieux, the center Nick Gates, the right guard Will Hernandez, and the right tackle Matt Parrott. I think those 5 will be the starting line, and then followed by Nate Solder, Jonathan Harrison, Kenny Wiggins, and Billy Price. As for special teams, like I said, 3 players: the kicker Graham Gano, Riley Dixon, the punter, the long snapper Casey Creeder. So that's for the offense and the special teams. I think overall, I think that's a good amount of offensive players. And then, on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to go with 5 defensive linemen: Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Raymond Johnson, Danny Shelton, Austin Johnson. I originally had B.J. Hill cracking the roster, but then he got traded, so I replaced Raymond Johnson III with him. As for the edge and linebackers, I got Blake Martinez, Tay Crowder, Carter Coughlin, Reggie Ragland, O'Shane Zimenez, Azeez Ojulari, Lorenzo Carter, Cam Brown, Ifeadi Adenabo, and Trent Harris. And then the 4th-round pick of the Giants, Ellerson Smith, is on the IR. He might, I believe, he's on the PUP or the IR, so he doesn't go against the roster, but he's going to make it. I don't think he goes against the roster. And then for the defensive backs, I think they go James Bradbury, Adoree Jackson, Darius Williams, Darnay Holmes, Jabril Peppers, Julian Love, Xavier McKinney, Josh Jackson, who they traded for, Keon Crossan, who they also traded for, Logan Ryan, and then Aaron Robinson. Like I said, with Ellerson Smith, he's also injured, so I think they do not go against the roster, the 53, but I think he makes the team. Obviously, the Giants traded up in the draft in the 3rd round to take him, so he's obviously going to make this roster. So that's 53 players, 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 6 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, 9 offensive linemen, 3 special teams, 5 defensive linemen, 10 edge linebackers, and 10 defensive backs. You guys let me know what you think about all these topics: the trade, the recap of the preseason finale, and my 53-man roster prediction. What would you change, or would you keep everything? You guys let me know down below in the comment section. And as always, please leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We'll see you guys all in the next video.